Welcome back to Noah Reads Wikipedia. Today's random Wikipedia article is about John Blackwood, who was an art dealer. John Blackwood, born October 2nd, 1696, died November 12th, 1777, was a Scottish merchant who early in his life was a slave trader in New Spain and a politician who sat in the House of Commons briefly from 1727 to 1728. He later became a noted and sought-after art dealer. He was based in London but traveled widely on the continent and is one of the first dealers to introduce the works of Murillo to Britain. Biography. Blackwood was born in Edinburgh on October 2nd, 1696, and baptized 2 days later. A young son of Sir Robert Blackwood of Petravia, a rich silk merchant, and one time, 1711 through 1712, Lord Provost of Edinburgh in Jeanette class. Records suggest that in 1716, Blackwood was indentured to Robert Aston, a merchant in London, although there is nothing to confirm that this is the right John Blackwood. Blackwood initially set out on a political career, and in the 1727 British general election, he was elected as a member of Parliament for Glasgow in a contest. However, on the 28th of March 1728, the Commons awarded the seat to his opponent, Daniel Campbell, on the merits of the return. Blackwood presented a petition which was referred to the Elections Committee, who reached no decision. The petition was renewed in 1730 and 1731, but was never resolved. He did not stand again. Blackwood's first known business venture was to set up as a merchant in partnership with John Cathcart in 1726 in London at Nag's Head Court, Gracechurch Street. There were illicit and authorized aspects to their enterprise. The more lucrative source of income for the two merchants came from the illicit trade in wood via Kingston, Jamaica. They traded products with British industrial manufacturer for the logwood that the Spanish cut, while silencing the royal officers of the province with a bribe of 12%. They were also licensed by the South Sea Company to engage in the slave trade in Campeche, Yucatan, in particular to bring 199 slaves to Campeche in 1730 through 1733 at 40 pieces of 8 for each African American they imported. Interestingly, John Howberry, age 13, African American servant to John Blackwood, was baptized in England on August 10th, 1740. This enterprise continued until 1739, when the War of Spain broke out. There was not time to remove their effects, and so they made a great loss for this. And from the non-payments of debts owing to them, John Cathcart accepted a commission from Lord Cathcart to become director of the hospital in the expedition of the West Indies based in Cuba. Then, under Lord Cathcart's command, the hope was John Cathcart would recover a considerable portion of the debts and effects, and so restore health to the partnership. Meanwhile, Blackwood was in London looking after the stocks and effects of the company. Cathcart worked hard during his 3 years in the West Indies and recovered £600 of outstanding debt. He also paid more than £360 of his own earnings to help offset the losses, and a further £2,092 when back in London, but this was still insufficient, and the company was declared bankrupt on August 19th, 1975. It is not clear how or exactly when, but at some stage, Blackwood became interested in art and started dealing in paintings and sculptures. This was probably in the late 1730s or early 1740s, before the bankruptcy, and when money would have been available for the timber business. According to the Apollo Journal, Blackwood traveled extensively on the continent, assembled a sizable collection there, and then returned to London to dispose of it at leisure from their own homes or through the auction rooms. He bought paintings by and often directly from artists who are now world famous. but who were less well known in 18th century England. Samuel Ireland, the English engraver and art dealer, reported in 1796 that the late Mr. Blackwood had purchased a room full of Cuyp's work and some 30 years earlier for £7 or £8 apiece. John Blackwood was one of the first dealers to purchase the paintings of Murillo, who was expressly collected by Sir Lawrence Dundas. Blackwood undertook several commissions for Dundas, during which time they became friends. Murillos of this province are now in galleries around the world. Example, the Vision of St. Francis of Paola in the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles. Denison had given a full description of Dundas's collection. Several auctions of the artworks he acquired were held in Blackwood's lifetime. A 2-day sale by Mr. Langford at his house in the Great Piazza Covent Garden in March 1760 featured about 200 paintings, many by eminent artists, as well as bronzes and other items. Family and property. John Blackwood married Anne Chauvel, daughter of Sir Clousie Chauvel, at St. Luke's, Old Carton, Kent, on July 28, 1726. They had a daughter, Mary, and 2 sons, Chauvel and John. Chauvel married Catherine Ambrosia, daughter of Albert Bogart, in 1761. Mary married Thomas de Salagus on March 18, 1745, at St. George Chapel, Mayfair. Property in Crayford, Kent, which once belonged to Sir Clousie Chauvel, eventually passed to his daughter Anne and her husband, John Blackwood. They included Howbury, Marshall's Place, the Iron Mills, a farm called Watsham, and other lands. John Blackwood died on the 12th of November, 1777, while visiting Dundas at his home at Moor Park. He was buried a week later at St. Paul's Church, Crayford, Kent. 2 auctions of Blackwood's property gave a measure of how much he personally amassed in his life. On the 21st of February, 1778, Messrs. Christie and Ansell auctioned his much distinguished and valuable collection of pictures, fine bronzes, scapular urns, busters, etc. More than 40 painters were listed, including Velázquez, Poussin, Rubens, Rembrandt, and Cuyp. Later that year, a 2-day auction was held of the improvised lease of the Gentle House, with covenant offices, a double-coach house, and stabling for 5 horses, situated on the east side of Soho Square, together with furniture, wines, and pictures. And that's all we have about John Blackwood, an art dealer who lived to the age of 81 and had 2 children. So that's all for Noah Reads Wikipedia. Very interesting article, I'd say. And thank you.